this section, we will talk about the sample exam and how or what would be the pattern for exam. We will discuss it in detail as part of this session and discussion. So as this is more of an EXIN Blockchain Essential sample exam, we will see what are the rules and regulation for the EXIN examination applies in this case. So this exam, as we call, is comprising of 20 multiple choice questions. Each multiple choice question has number of possible answers, and out of this there would be one correct answer. So there is one correct answer, there is no negative marks for the exam. So the maximum number of points a person can obtain as part of this exam is 20. Each correct answer is worth 1 point. So a candidate needs to score 13 points, which is 65% to pass this exam. The overall timeline which is allowed for this exam is 30 minutes. So with that, we say good luck and all the best for your practice. So let's look for the first question. The first question is, what is blockchain? The option A talks about a centralized database that holds the subset of all transactions on all nodes. Option B, it's a client server database existing on a limited number of nodes at the same time. Option C, it's a distributed database that with a record of all the transactions on the network. And option D, it's a standalone database with a history of all the transactions on various nodes. So as we discussed in the session, it's a very simple question. It is all about what is blockchain network, and it is the answer is option C, which is a distributed database with a record of all the transactions on the network. So as we said, this is the basic definition of blockchain network. So let's move ahead to question number 2. So what is a function of a lightweight node within the blockchain network? So option A, it stores a complete history of every transaction on the network. Option B, it stores the purchase cryptocurrency for users of a blockchain network. Option C, it verifies the transactions by piggy banking on the work of the full nodes. So this is again we discussed as part of the whole course. So the right option for this is option C, which is it verifies the transactions by piggy banking on the work of the full node. So option C is the correct answer. So let's move to the question number 3, which is a bearer instrument, which is used to transfer the value between two parties over a blockchain network. What is that instrument called? So is that a DApp, or option B, which is a hash, and option C, which is a node, or option D, which is a token? So we have talked about it. So the answer for this is option D, which is a token. So token is a bearer instrument which is used to transfer the values between two parties over the blockchain network. So let's move to the question number 4, which is what is the key characteristics of public blockchain network? So option A, it allows a user to elect the nodes to process the transaction. Option B is allowing anyone to participate in the blockchain network. Option C is allowing control over who can participate at what level. And option D, it's allowing only the trusted parties to operate in their blockchain network. So the right option for this is option B, which is allowing anyone to participate in the blockchain network. So that's about the public blockchain. So in that anyone and everyone can join and be part of the blockchain network. So let's move ahead to the question number 5, which is how does the blockchain function like ledgers? So that's a question. So option A, which talks about they hold a record for all the transactions that have ever occurred on the network. That's an option A. Option B is they hold vast amount of transaction data as a centralized database. And option C, they periodically update all balances of each wallet to the blockchain. So let's try to see the correct option, and the option A is a correct option. So they hold a record of all the transactions that have ever occurred on the network. So that's how blockchain basically function as a ledger, because they are the record keepers of all the transactions in the network. So let's move to the next question, which is question number 6. So what is the task of a miner in a blockchain network? So how or what miner node does? So that's a question. So the options are option A, which is a miner acts as a single third party to aggregate the records and provides the trust in the network by the miners authority. Option B is miners are computers that allows access to the blockchain, ensuring the number of corrupt nodes will stay low. Option C are miners are the nodes that compete for a reward by calculating the network by calculating the correct nouns to make the transaction possible. That's option C. And option D is miners basically determine the consensus rules that should be followed and the interfere when these rules are broken. So that's an option D. So now the correct option is option C for this. So miners are basically, they are the nodes. They compete to get the kind of rewards and they ensure that the current or correct transactions are stored in the node. So that's a fundamental of miners. So what are the miners and what is the rules and responsibility of it in the blockchain networks? So that's a question number 6. So the question number 7, the blockchain network are vulnerable to 51% attack. Which network should incentivize the hackers most to break the network, right? So we have to talk about it, right? So the option A is it the Bitcoin network? Is it the Fabric network? Is it the Factom, or is it the Ripple? So we have to see and talk about from the perspective of how the 51% attack happened and in which a network there is an incentivization given across for it, right? So the answer is option A, which is a Bitcoin network. So let's move to the question number 8, which is about one of the greatest threats to the blockchain community is the narcissism of the small differences. What is the result of this narcissism of the small differences? So the option A is basically a community group makes fun of another community group over the small differences, result into greater collaboration. That's an option A. Option B is the community cares about and work to resolve the small differences that cannot be perceived by outside group. Option C is the community has developed many similar projects and these fight with one another over small differences. And option D is the community has grown closer and works together in a collaborative fashion to solve the common problem. So the option for the correct answer for this question is option C, which is the community has developed many similar projects and these basically fight with one another over a small difference. So that's an answer for the option or for the question number 8. So let's move to question number 9. So how do fraudster use a Ponzi scheme? So the options are: a fraudster convinces a victim to pay for receiving something of a greater value later on. A fraudster finds investor, they dump the tokens of the investor to crash the market. Fraudster basically pays dividend to initial investors using the funds of subsequent investors, and fraudster basically steal the credit card and use them to buy the money, goods, or the property. So let's try to look for these options in a closer way. So the option C is the right answer. So they basically use the initial money and they basically pay the dividends to the initial investors and they fund it through the next subsequent investors. So that's how fraudsters try to run those Ponzi scheme. So in what way do a blockchain use a public witness? So let's try to see the options. Option A is a digital courthouse or library, basically acts as a public witness to store the information to reference. Option B is a node on a blockchain network attests to the accuracies and trustfulness of the information. Option C is a person basically sends a transaction over public network to earn the reward as a public witness. And option D is a prepared node or a preferred node can be elected to attest to the accuracies and trustfulness of the information. So the answer for this question is option B, which is a node on the blockchain network, basically attests to the accuracy and truthfulness of the information, overall information which is there in the network. So now let's try to look into the next question, which is the blockchain question number 11. So blockchain basically enables the self-sovereign identity. How does blockchain do that? So the option A is basically it enables the centralized third party to offer easy to use and valid identity information. Option B is it enables each person to have the exclusive control of their money, property and identity. Option C is it enables the government to effortlessly issue the identities with the advanced digital certificates. And option D is it enables only internet companies to offer the world-class secure personal identity repository. So the answer for this option is more of a option B. It basically allows each person to have exclusive control of their money, property, and identity. So individuals can take a control of it. So this is more of a derived question. This is not a standard question. So you need to think and understand and apply your logic to deduce at this. So that's how blockchain basically enables the self-sovereign identity. So let's move to the question number 12, which is the public blockchain gives an incentive to encourage the users to mine blocks and secure the network. What incentive is this, right? So the options which are there is option A, which is a public network allows the users to create tokens to sell on the secondary market. Option B is a public blockchain do not offer rewards because they are open source. Option C is public blockchain basically offers cash rewards for running the mining nodes. And option D is a public blockchain offer the rewards for the mining in form of the cryptocurrency. So this is a very simple question because we have known about it. So it is the cryptocurrency part of it, which is option D. The public blockchain basically offers you the rewards for mining in the form of the cryptocurrency. So that's the option D is the correct answer. So now let's look for the question number 13. So what is the best use case of smart contracts? So option A is it helps you to digitalize and automate the legally binding contracts using the artificial intelligence. That's an option A. Option B is it enforces the execution of contracts in the legal system using the cryptocurrency. Option C, it ensures the automatic payment by predetermined action or events in the insurance contract. And option D is extend the Bitcoin blockchain, the best known smart contract platform, to the judicial system. So the right answer for this is option C, which is ensuring the automatic payment by the predetermined actions or event in the insurance contract. So in smart contract, all these things are defined in a piece of code, and these actions are executed automatically, and the payments can happen automatically once those conditions are met across. So let's move to the next question. What is the role of DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization? So let's look for the options. So the option A is basically it helps you to address the principal agent dilemma with the collaboration and acceptance of actions within the agreed rule. Option B, it helps you to embed the regulated online smart contracts with the current judicial systems using the public blockchain network. Option C is it offers the complex online smart contracts without any link to tangible and intangible offline assets. And option D is basically it provides a private blockchain contract platform on which the users can run their online applications. So the right answer for what is DAO is option A. It helps you to address the principal agent dilemma, which basically helps you to have a collaboration between different parties. So that's how the role of decentralized autonomous organization does. So let's try to look for the question number 15, which is how can the blockchain technology best help in securing the identity data. So the option A is basically it helps you by eliminating the third parties through providing the secure data storage at a user server. That's an option A. Option B is by encoding all the healthy data and basically helps you to provide it on the private and the permissionless blockchain. Option C is by protecting the data that have been submitted on the internet using the cryptography algorithm. And option D is by providing the information, personal data, without disclosing the actual data that proves it. So how blockchain basically helps you to secure the identity is by the option D. So it provides the information, personal data, without disclosing the actual data that proves it. So that's how you can secure your identity. So let's try to look for the question number 16, which is what is the value of blockchain network with the Internet of Things? So how Internet of Things can be used along with blockchain network, right? So the option A is basically allowing the blockchain users to follow the self-driving cars and access these cars. That's an option A. Option B is avoiding a spoofing attack using the secure identity that is stored on the blockchain. Option C is by enabling the software that programs itself to solve the problems without human intervention. And option D is by solving the expensive and complex calculation using the hyperledger fabric mining. So we have to see how the blockchain and the IoT can work together. So the right answer is option B. So by using a blockchain and IoT, it can help you to avoid any kind of spoofing attack using the secure identity, which can be certainly stored on the blockchain network or platform. So that's an option B is the right answer for this. So how does the blockchain improve the overall supply chain management? So let's try to see and visualize some of those points. So option A is by automatically creating the trade agreement between two parties. That's an option A. Option B is by creating a safe centralized marketplace to trade goods on. Option B. And option C is by stabilizing the national currencies of the countries involved. And option D is by transferring the tokenized ownership through a software system. So let's try to see the answer for this is option D, which is by transferring the tokenized ownership through a software system. That's how you can secure your blockchains. That's how you can use blockchain for improving your supply chain. So now let's try to look for the question number 18. What is a digital fiat currency? So a digital option A is a digital form of currency that represents the country's financial reserves. That's an option A. Option B is a e-currency that basically creates a transparent and borderless debt market. And option C is a online system basically that enables making the transaction without a bank account. So we have to see what is the correct option, and option A is the correct option. So it's a digital form of a currency that represents a country's financial reserves. So you can think of them as a fiat currency. So how does, so let's come to the question number 19. So how does the blockchain technology benefits the insurance companies? So let's look for those options. And then option A is by avoiding the kind of compliance requirements of the national authorities, which reduces any kind of overhead. Option B is by ensuring the accuracy of data and automating micro insurances, which reduces the cost. Option C is by introducing the flexible premium to be paid by the customers, which increases the profit. And option D is by setting up a digital mode of payment, which basically simplifies the claim settlement. So let's try to see what are the ways by which blockchain benefits the insurance industry. So option B is a correct answer. So it helps by enabling the accuracy of data and automating the micro insurances. So which basically helps you to reduce any kind of overheads or costs. So option B is the correct answer for this. So now we have come to almost the end of the question, which is the question number 20th. So how does blockchain technology help to protect the intellectual property, right? So let's try to see some of them. So Option A is basically it allows the users to include the IP transaction in a smart contract. That's an option A. Option B is it allows the users to record an event and establish the timeline. That's an option B. Option C is it allows the users to record and create the software package. And option D is it allows the users to send a transaction and receive a IP ownership. So let's try to look for it. So option B is the correct answer because it basically blockchain allows you to record the transaction and you can have the timestamp associated with it as well, right? So option B is the correct answer. That's how you can use blockchain technology to protect the IP of the organization or individual.